Thank you very much, Paul, for the generous introduction, and good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here and share our organization's experience in Palm. As some of you would know, we've not been in Palm for a long time. We are a recent participant in the industry compared to most of you here, but we are not new to the agricultural commodity industry. We've been there for over 2 decades. The structure of my presentation is going to be introducing Olam in a few slides, in a few minutes, and then we go to the topic of Africa, and we will share our experience as we are working in developing palm plantations in West Africa. So we are a company that is engaged as a supply chain manager in the agricultural and food ingredient supply chain. We've been in this business for over 20 years, and in this period we have achieved leadership position through diversification and selective integration along the value chain across the 20 commodities that we deal in. In 10 out of the 20 commodities we are in, we have global leadership positions. And the 20 commodities essentially shapes our portfolio in a unique way as compared to other companies in the agricultural commodity space that are focused usually in 1 or 2 or a few commodities. This portfolio gives us a fairly balanced and defensible position in the industry. And our growth, which has been very significant, double-digit growth in excess of 20% year-on-year CAGR in top line and bottom line, is driven by our business model. We have developed and perfected a formula of growth which revolves around adjacency. So we've entered one country in one agricultural commodity, moved on to adjacent commodities in the same country, and then replicated it country after country, and therefore we developed, accumulated and compounded the strengths and learnings we had in one country to the other, and we've achieved almost close to perfect execution in our growth. And in this process, we have developed a large base and network of stakeholders, 11,000 customers, 65 countries, 70 end markets, 20 products, 17,000 employees, and 2 million farmers that are engaged with us in the agricultural supply chain. In recent years, we have moved from farm gate to factory gate and downstream focus into upstream focus as well, and we've added seed to shelf as another area of business. Participating in the demand and supply imbalance that's the long-term view in the agricultural commodity industry. We have made 21 investments over 2.2 million hectares across 11 countries in 10 products. And you have those countries and areas of focus. These are essentially a bunch of plantation crops and row crops. And these are focused in producing these commodities in some of the countries and exporting them to the markets. And in countries and in products like rice and palm, we are engaged in cultivation and production for the local needs. Our African footprint is very strong. That is where we started in 1989 in one single product, that is cashew. And as I explained earlier, we've achieved leadership position in 10 commodities out of the 20 globally, and in 7 out of the 20 commodities we deal in Africa. Africa is and will continue to be an important part for us in our portfolio of countries in terms of sales revenue that it accounts for today and in terms of sourcing volumes. And we have significant investments in Africa, close to $500 million in processing value addition locally, and also in terms of investments in wheat flour mill, dairy processing, and packaged foods that cater to the local market in Africa. And we have plans in the pipeline to invest close to $2 billion in the continent. Talking of corporate responsibility and sustainability, that is very important to Olam, and because it's a part of our business model. So we have been engaged for the last 20 years in the agricultural supply chain, dealing with fragmented suppliers. So we have, as I alluded to earlier, over 2 million farmers that we work with as we source all these commodities that we deal in. So as we worked with these suppliers over the number of years, we realized they had a lot of requirements. We understood where we could add value to them The typical issues would be around microfinancing, improving the yields of the suppliers, training them to deal with their production better. And on the other hand, we had customers who were looking to us to provide certified products and guarantees in terms of traceability and fair trade. So we put these two things together, and then we said, that's going to be our sustainability model, which is entwined and embedded in our business model itself, and therefore there is a lot of durability to it. It's going to be enduring. So we define our sustainability as an ethic of mutuality, and therefore we moved on from where we started, from an ethic of compliance to an ethic of contribution. So today, we have programs that focus on smallholders. We believe we will contribute to the UN Millennium Development Goals through this livelihood charter, and our livelihood charter is focused on smallholders. So we have crop loans of $21.1 million, quality premium that our customers have paid us, which we have passed on to these suppliers of $3.5 million, and we have made investments, as you see there, in terms of training and capacity building and developing farmers and suppliers, and also on social aspects that are relevant to them. As our business model has moved on from farm gate to factory gate, and we have moved into downstream processing facilities and upstream, we are aware of our asset footprint and its impact in terms of carbon, water, energy, and waste. And we have engaged experts to study this, and we will take actions based on the results of the study. Africa for us is a very important part of our business, a very important geography for us, and we believe it's going to be very important for the whole world as well, because it holds huge potential for agricultural production, with 60% of the arable land that is in that continent. And the efforts of the CAADP to develop agriculture in Africa and food security will go a long way to address the sustainability of Africa, to achieve self-sufficiency on one hand, and also cater to the needs of the food for the world at large. If African agriculture were to grow at about 6% year on year, the value of the revenues from agriculture would increase 3 times over the next 20 years. And that is very important for Africa because it's got a growing population. Population would increase by 500 million in 20 years. And there is also going to be ever increasing middle class with affordable discretionary income, which will push the demand for food staples. So it is very important for Africa to focus on agriculture, and it gives opportunity for companies like us that are engaged with Africa to participate in that opportunity. The issues with agriculture in Africa would be around lack of good agronomy practices and lack of sufficient infrastructure to support that growth. So if things are all done well, that could be a great opportunity to position Africa as an important player in the agricultural part of the world. Palm, we believe, in the context of Africa, would act as a trigger for agricultural development. So there are a number of commercial palm plantation initiatives that are already underway, and they can contribute significantly to employment generation, which will address the unemployment issue, which is dominant in Africa. It will also lead to agro-based industries in the form of refineries, downstream products. It will lead to capacity building locally in the form of spin-off benefits, ancillary industries that support the palm plantation, and also develop smallholders, not only in palm, but also with access to best practices and advice. These smallholders can go beyond palm to other cash crops as well. And palm cultivation would certainly